all this scrap metal has been sitting on the tongue of the tiny house for quite some time. It's all like galvanized steel, pieces of aluminum from the roof that we did, and it's all left over. The time has come. I think I'm going to head into town tomorrow morning first thing and try to recycle it, take it to a scrapyard. Who knows? Maybe I'll get something for it all. Ugh. In this video, I want to talk a little bit about some of the challenges that we have faced since moving out here to the high desert of New Mexico and living off-grid like this. Some of the things have not been as bad as we expected. This is a really fitting time for me to talk about this because I am just getting attacked by these little tiny gnats, these no-see-ums. They are everywhere. They're flying into my ears. One went into my ear canal a second ago. I hope it doesn't stay in there. Fitting timing because I want to go over some of the things that have been really challenging and things that we didn't quite expect to be challenging. I also want to talk a little bit about some of the things that were not as challenging as we previously thought that they would be. I think I'm going to have to film a lot of this video indoors tonight to try to avoid these bugs. It's getting crazy. Excuse me if I smack myself in the head a few times throughout this video. Number one on the list of things that have not been as bad as we thought they were going to be when we moved out here has got to be dealing with the weather and the temperature. And that might sound crazy because it is a pretty harsh environment out here. In the winter, it was a lot colder than we expected. When we first came out here, we didn't expect there to be as much snow as there is. We're at about 6,600 feet and it snowed quite a bit. That being said, I figured out how to use the wood stove pretty quickly, and that bailed us out, kept us warm in the cabin all winter. And then the extreme heat in the summer is another thing that we have been learning to deal with. I know I made that recent video about dealing with the heat and staying cool during the summertime out here while living off-grid. And overall, it hasn't been that bad. I think that part of it is because we spent so much time living in vans and just dealing with extreme heat and extreme cold. How's it going in here, temperature-wise?
It's a little warm. Been cycling my ice packs today. Gotten a really good rhythm down of sitting on top of them and sticking them in the back of my pants to hang out on my lower back. It's been working very well. Not quite the same as air conditioning, but it does a trick.
Who needs air conditioning?
Who needs air conditioning? I think we've adapted pretty well.
Another challenge of living off-grid that hasn't been as bad as we previously expected is the lack of running water. We do fortunately have 1,000 gallons of rainwater catchment at the cabin, and that has been definitely coming in handy. Right now it is the monsoon season in New Mexico, so we've been getting a lot of rain. Our water catchment is pretty much all the way filled to the top at this point. And, in terms of showering and stuff, obviously we don't have running water in the cabin. But in terms of just, filling up our solar shower, our camp shower, and putting that out in the sun, I got it in the sun right now, actually. I'm going to take a shower in a couple of minutes here. That's been totally fine. And with the little bathtub that's in the cabin, we just set it up on a hook that I put in the ceiling, and it works out really, really well. It's, definitely more convenient than what we were dealing with when we were living in the vans, right? We would have to go out of our way to go to a Planet Fitness. It's a lot easier just to put a bag of water out in the sun, a bag of rainwater in the sun, and it takes, a few minutes to heat up, and then I can just take a shower. Another challenge that hasn't really been as much of a challenge is power. We have 800 watts of solar outside running into just a small solar power station in the cabin, and that has been more than enough for what Shannon and I need to work, and even for me editing videos and everything. We have gotten into a bind a couple of times with some cloudy stretches, but I picked up a gas generator from Harbor Freight, a cheap Predator generator, and that is perfect for bailing us out of those cloudy days. Power really has not been much of an issue out here. A fourth thing that really hasn't been so bad has been internet. When we first got out here, we looked at our phones and we were lucky to have 1 bar of cell coverage, but Shannon picked up a cell booster, a high boost cell booster. I will put an Amazon link in the description below to that. I know a lot of folks ask about it, and that thing has been amazing, and the signal has been excellent. You know, we're able to get online, and I'm actually able to upload videos and everything all from right here. Before continuing on, I want to take a second to talk about the sponsor of today's video. This video is sponsored by Strapinno. They make these high-quality ratchet straps that also have a retractable mechanism built into them. This company reached out to me a little while ago and offered to send me some of these and to sponsor a video, and I thought it would be a perfect fit for the pickup truck in particular. We are constantly hauling things back and forth into town and back out to the property out here, and beforehand we used these ratchet straps that were kind of worn out. They were not retractable like this, so they would always get tangled. We always had all kind of issues with them. I thought that something like this would be a good fit. So I'm going to go get these installed on the truck so I can tie down some of that scrap metal and be ready to take it into town first thing tomorrow morning. Okay, that's pretty awesome. That's actually the first time I've ever used a ratchet strap like that. The other one I was having to like pull it through the hole and it was always getting tangled. This is going to be a heck of a lot easier to tie things down, and I don't know, just seems like a better technology overall. I want to say these are rated for a working load limit of about 500 pounds, and then they have a 1,500 pound braking strength as well, so they are very solid overall, seem very well built. They have some great reviews online, and I really do think that they're going to come in handy for us in the pickup truck, and then maybe if we do ever get our truck camper at some point down the line, they could also come in handy then as well. It's probably not going to be for a while, but in the meantime, while we're hauling cabinets and scrap metal and lumber and everything else that you can imagine in the truck, trash, these are definitely going to be pretty solid. I do also love that they are retractable like this. They take up a lot less space. I can store them more easily in the cab of the truck, and they're not going to get tangled and be a pain to deal with. It's getting a little late this evening, but I will keep you guys posted. I'll let you all know how the trip into town goes tomorrow with all the scrap metal, and then after that, we'll get back to the second half of this video, which are some of the challenges that have been a lot worse than we expected, or didn't even expect at all. There have definitely been a couple of things that have been a huge pain to deal with out here, and we'll get into that in just a second. The trip into town went pretty well, but I didn't get as much as I expected for all that scrap metal. Basically didn't get anything at all. It was a little bit of a disappointment, but the ratchet straps held up nicely on the trip down there. I will put a link in the description below to the Strapinno website so you guys can check them out, and thank you again, Strapinno, for making this video possible. So moving right along, let's talk about some of the things that have been bigger challenges than we originally anticipated. Some of the worst things that we've had to deal with since moving off-grid like this. What do you think the biggest challenge of living off-grid so far has been?
Rank 1, having to drive an hour to get anywhere.
Shannon has a good point with that one. It takes a long time to get into town. It's about an hour either direction, so we generally don't do that every day, as you can imagine. It's like a once or twice a week kind of thing. So when we do go into town, or when I go in to run some errands, it's not just a quick errand. There's no such thing as a quick errand anymore. It is just a full day of just doing like a million different things and running around all over the place trying to make sure that I can get everything done. And it becomes quite the time commitment. It's a little bit exhausting from time to time, and it's been something that's been tough to get used to. And that also just relates to the fact that living off-grid like this also takes more time. Like, it takes time to maintain the property. I'm going to get into some of the other challenges that we've been dealing with, and just dealing with those things takes time. And then also, obviously, we have quite a bit on our plates right now with the tiny house build, and then renovating and fixing up the cabin, and then we're going to be doing quite a few other projects as well, starting actually tomorrow. So there's a lot going on, and it's been difficult to manage my time along with, you know, working and trying to create YouTube videos, and I've fallen behind a little bit in the last month, and just had a lot going on. So I do think that a lot of that is related to living off-grid and being so far away from civilization. Number 2, it's probably number 1 for me. I don't know, these aren't really ranked in any particular order. I'm just giving them numbers just because. But it has to be dealing with pests, and in particular, rodents. That has been something that has been way worse than I could have ever anticipated. We did have a couple of fly issues. We talked about that in a video a while back with our compost toilets. That was not great to deal with, just having a massive fly infestation in the bathroom. It was the original compost toilet that came with the house, but a couple of things didn't really work. Like the vent fan didn't work on it anymore, and it didn't like twist and turn. It had all kind of problems. It was broken. So we ended up replacing it and putting in Shannon's old Nature's Head that she had from her van build, her Sprinter van, and that has worked awesome. That has basically completely eliminated any flies. But in terms of rodents, that has been a whole nother ball game. Dealing with mice and pack rats has definitely been a struggle. They've been under the hood of the Element, under the hood of the truck. They don't really bother with the truck as much, which is good, but I've had smaller mice in the Element. I've had to clean up a nest in there. That was terrible. But, you know, we have been working to come up with some solutions to deal with these things. I got this little electronic rodent repellent thing, and I don't know, it might just be a stupid gimmick, but I actually do think it works. Like, I put it on at night, it makes these noises and flashes, and since I started using it, I have not found as many mice droppings inside the Element, so that's good. You know, keeping it in the tiny house as well. I have another one for here. Just something that we're dealing with, guys. It's part of being out here. This is their environment, you know. There are pack rat middens everywhere, all along this property and the juniper trees and even underneath the water tanks in the cabin. Once we get out of the cabin, we'll be able to empty out those water tanks and really go to town on cleaning up some of that area, and we're going to have our work cut out for us for sure. But that's something that we got to deal with. And for me, that it's got to be the biggest issue of being out here so far. The next challenge has got to be internet. I know that I listed that on the challenges that have been better than we expected, but it's also been worse than we expected in the sense that, in particular, just like cell coverage. Shannon is on AT&T, and for some reason, like this, it's just very spotty. Like she'll be on the phone, like trying to have a conversation with someone, and like every other word will just cut out. It's like something that you see out of like a comedy sketch. It'll be like, like you just cannot figure out what she's saying. So that's been an issue. And then on top of that, just I have this T-Mobile hotspot, this jetpack, and the thing works amazing. Like the best service, the fastest service of all the carriers out here in terms of 4G connection has got to be T-Mobile. It's excellent. But the jetpack itself, the device, constantly just like cuts out. Like it's been getting progressively worse over time to the point where like every like 20 minutes or so, I mean it's completely unpredictable, but say every 20 minutes you'll just lose internet connection. So say Shannon is on a video call, a conference call with like a client or something. Like almost always, like halfway through the call, she just has to drop and then connect to a different hotspot just because it's not consistent enough. That all being said, I'm really hoping that we're going to fix all of these issues with the internet very soon. We did finally get our Starlink. It came in the mail just the other day. I'm going to be setting it up hopefully in the next video, and I'll let you guys know how that goes. I have high hopes for Starlink. A lot of our neighbors have been using it, and they say that it's working pretty well. So I'm looking forward to getting that set up, and I'm hoping that it just makes internet a complete non-issue for us. You have any honorable mentions that you want to add? I've talked about the time thing and the rodents and the internet.
Maybe everything getting coated in a fine layer of dust immediately after wiping it. The keys on my computer, both of them have been like hard to press.
Yeah.
They just have so much grit in them.
It's true. I mean, we leave one window open at night just to get a breeze in here and just wake up in the morning after a windy evening and it's just like dust everywhere.
Yeah. Or how about that we had no idea how often we would be stuck with cactuses since getting out here. My shoes all just have tiny cactus spikes in them. I have this one pair of like recovery shoes that are really squishy that if I step on it this one perfect like direction, I get stabbed in the foot and I cannot find that spike anywhere. I've looked through the entire shoe, can't find it. I still have marks on my hand from accidentally smacking my hand into a cholla. And apparently it takes 9 months to go away, and the only way to get out these tiny little spikes is to scrape your skin off. Didn't think about that before coming here.
We've definitely had our fair share of surprises living out here like this, and I'm sure that there will be some more challenges that pop up as we continue on this adventure of building out this property and, you know, building this little homestead and everything else that comes along with it. And I'm excited to keep making these videos and share this chapter of our lives. You know, this is something that we're doing now. It's not necessarily going to be forever. I know at some point we're hoping to travel some more and get back on the road, but for the foreseeable future, we're going to be out here in the middle of the desert. I think it's time for me to end this video. I am getting swarmed right now by these no-see-ums. I can't thank y'all enough for watching and for following along. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Ring the notification bell and leave a like and a comment. That would definitely help out the channel. And looking forward to talking to you guys in the next one.